Welcome to the debate. So imagine a striker lining up for a penalty kick in the World Cup final. The stadium is, completely deafening.
Oh, absolutely. 4 billion fans around the world are watching.
Exactly. But beneath that player's jersey, quietly operating beneath the roar of the crowd, there is a microscopic gyroscope tracking the exact torque of his knee. An accelerometer is measuring his deceleration.
And his exact heart rate is being beamed to some machine learning algorithm in the cloud?
Right. We are watching a physical game, but there is an entirely different, invisible game being played beneath the surface. It's a game of continuous biometric data. So today, we are looking at the rapidly growing use of artificial intelligence and wearable sensors in football to, continuously monitor players' bodies.
And the core question we really have to grapple with today is whether this continuous collection of biometric data via AI-assisted wearables is, a necessary, life-saving revolution in sports medicine, or, on the flip side, if it crosses a dangerous line into invasive biometric surveillance that fundamentally compromises player privacy.
Yeah, it's a heavy topic. We're drawing this discussion from recent research evaluating AI risk prediction algorithms, smart stadium wireless sensor networks, and healthcare data analysis in football. And I will be arguing that constant biometric monitoring is an absolute ethical necessity to prevent career-ending injuries and ultimately maximize athletes' health.
Right. And I will be arguing that the indefinite, invasive tracking of private physical data introduces profound ethical risks and heavy responsibilities that we're largely ignoring in the rush to just optimize human performance.
Okay, to start us off, I really want to frame this technology not as some, imposition on the athlete, but as a life-saving teammate.
A teammate?
Yes, a teammate. If you look at the research, it paints a pretty grim picture of the physical toll football takes. I mean, more than half the players, 53.9% exactly, get injured.
That is a staggering number, to be fair.
It is. And the knee is the most frequent casualty. We are talking about abrasions, sprains, sacral syndrome, quadriceps tendinitis. I mean, these are often career-ending events. The AI algorithm proposed in this literature utilizes data from GPS, accelerometers, and heart rate monitors worn in tight tops under the jerseys. And when you run this raw, continuous data through their machine learning model, it yields a 7.2% higher risk prediction accuracy than existing fuzzy logic models.
Right, 7.2%.
Yeah. When you have a mathematical tool proven to be 7.2% better at predicting a catastrophic physical failure, utilizing it is a moral imperative.
But at what cost? You're talking about a 7.2% bump in prediction accuracy by implementing a system that monitors these players, and I want to use the text's exact words here, indefinitely.
Well, yes, repeated indefinitely across training and matches. That continuous loop is the entire point.
Right, indefinitely. But we are talking about reducing a human being's physical output, their shot speeds, their accelerations, their very heartbeat, reducing all of that to a constant, unending data feed.
To protect them.
But the researchers themselves explicitly warn that this kind of data analysis requires an appreciation of the responsibility that comes with accessing private and public data. We are entirely stripping the athlete's body of its privacy under the guise of smart technological implementation.
I think that's a bit of a leap.
Is it?
Yes. Injury prevention is a valid and noble goal. Absolutely. But transforming the athlete into a perpetually monitored data node crosses the line from medical care right into invasive surveillance.
You use the word surveillance like it's inherently malicious.
It can be.
But let's look at how the technology actually achieves that 7.2% improvement. Before this, predictive models used something called fuzzy logic. Think of it like a coach guessing, he looks a bit sluggish today, or
universes are born and die at the snap of his fingers of shadow. The multiverse is nothing but dust, molded by his sovereign will. Beneath his titanic silhouette, subverses collapse, and entire realities bow to the true and absolute ruler of the cosmos. For the creature that holds the infinite in the palm of its hand, eternity itself is merely a fleeting breath. Colossal dimensions are mere toys in the immensity of his domain. He does not merely observe existence, he possesses it completely. Available now on Amazon Books.
It's used something called fuzzy logic. Think of it like a coach guessing, he looks a bit sluggish today, or he's running somewhat heavier on that right side.
Relying on human observation, right. But it operates on approximations, degrees of truth. But this new machine learning model doesn't guess. It uses exact granular telemetry.
And that telemetry is captured by tight tops worn under the jersey.
Exactly. And injuries don't just happen out of nowhere, right? They are caused by a highly complex matrix, the frequency of training, the intensity of the exercise, and the pressure put on specific joints. The text actually cites that 57.5% of knee problems stem from a faulty warm-up regimen. 40% are from technical errors.
Okay, but how does an AI know a warm-up is faulty better than the player who is physically doing it?
Because the gyroscope in that tight top detects that the player is favoring their left leg by just 2 millimeters per stride.
2 millimeters?
Yeah, 2 millimeters. The player doesn't feel the pain yet. The coach can't see a 2 millimeter difference from the sidelines, but the AI sees the micro-compensation. That's where the advantage comes from. I mean, think about it. If you were driving a high-performance Formula One car, you wouldn't just guess when the engine is overheating based on how it sounds.
Okay, here we go with the machine metaphors.
Well, you wouldn't. You would rely on continuous telemetry from hundreds of internal sensors. Why should we treat elite human athletes with less precision and care than we treat a machine?
Because that Formula One car doesn't feel the psychological pressure of a championship game. You really can't equate a human athlete to an engine block.
I'm not saying they are engines. I'm saying they deserve the same level of safety diagnostics.
But when you strap tight tops with sensors onto a player and monitor them indefinitely, you turn the football pitch into an environment of constant, invisible surveillance.
See, there's that word again. I think surveillance implies a lack of consent or some sort of punitive aim. This is a medical safety net.
It becomes punitive the moment the data is used against the player's own judgment. The literature actually points to something vital here. It mentions the athlete's awareness of personal safety.
Right.
For anyone listening who plays, say, Sunday League football, think about how well you know your own body. You know when a tweak is just a tweak and when it's something much worse.
Most of the time.
This is the subjective, internalized understanding a player has of their own physical limits. When you introduce an algorithmic overseer that dictates exactly how they are performing and when they are at risk, you actively override that subjective human awareness.
Are you honestly saying the subjective feeling of a 22-year-old athlete who desperately wants to play in a cup final is more reliable than an accelerometer tracking actual kinetic force?
I'm saying the athlete stops listening to their own body and starts subordinating their physical autonomy to an app. It's like having an incredibly critical, invisible micromanager looking over your shoulder at every single keystroke you type at work, just permanently logging your errors before you even know you've made them. And remember, this is their most intimate physiological data being beamed out, collected, and stored by a massive sporting institution. The ethical risks of normalizing constant bodily surveillance in the workplace, even if that workplace is a football pitch, are staggering.
Okay, the invisible micromanager analogy is clever, I'll give you that. But it completely misrepresents the workflow described in the research. The AI isn't tapping a clipboard and shouting at the player.
No, it's just silently judging them.
No, the dynamic data, so the fast and hard accelerations, the pass possession completion rates, the heart rate, it all goes into the machine learning algorithm. The AI then flags a player who is statistically likely to get injured in the coming days. The coach receives this flag and provides the player with medically instructed rest.
Based entirely on the algorithm's say-so.
Based on objective data. And what happens next? The player heals. They avoid a torn ACL. They resume training moderately. The team doesn't lose a key player for a critical series. And most importantly, the player preserves their career.
The text even notes that this exact same continuous monitoring framework is being researched for AI-assisted helmets to avoid head injuries. They use impact sensors to measure G-force and collect data on concussions. I mean,
Are we going to call measuring traumatic brain injuries invasive surveillance too?
If the data is collected indefinitely and controlled by an employer, yes, absolutely. It brings up the exact same ethical privacy issues. Look, you're assuming the algorithm is infallible and objectively benevolent. But the source text clearly states, and I quote here, predictions made by the algorithm are not always accurate.
Well, obviously, no statistical model is 100% accurate. Exactly. So, what happens when an invasive, continuous biometric system forces a perfectly healthy player to sit out a championship match based on a flawed predictive model? Who holds the ultimate authority over the athlete's body? Is it the coach? Is it the algorithm? Or is it the athlete themselves?
The coach makes the final call. The AI is a supplementary tool.
But is it really just supplementary? Let's be real. If an AI flags a player for a 90% risk of a knee rupture, what coach is going to take the liability of ignoring that?
That's fair. The liability is a factor.
The AI effectively becomes the ultimate authority, and the responsibility of handling this private data is massive. We are completely ignoring the psychological burden placed on these players.
I wouldn't say ignoring.
Imagine trying to perform your job knowing that every sprint and exact heart rate is being permanently recorded and judged by a machine learning model. A model that might bench you next week because your gait was off by 2 millimeters. That is an immense, invisible pressure. We are optimizing for physical safety by completely compromising psychological privacy and bodily autonomy.
Look, I hear the concern about psychological pressure. I really do. The pressure of playing professional football is already immense, but let's be honest about the alternative here. The pressure of a sudden, career-ending knee injury is infinitely worse than knowing an accelerometer is tracking your gait.
Is it?
Yes, and we have empirical evidence that these intelligent methods are necessary.
Necessary is a very strong word.
I think it's the right word when you look at the sheer scale of the problem. The literature references a longitudinal monitoring study of 200 football players in Shandong province. They tracked knee injuries and training conditions. Out of those 200 players, 100 were injured during the games.
A 50% injury rate?
Exactly. It's a massive attrition rate. And it wasn't just freak accidents either. The breakdown was 27 acute knee traumas, 19 pre-existing ailments, 11 knee strains.
Okay.
A continuous monitoring system could have caught those pre-existing ailments and strains weeks in advance. Another survey in the material looked at stratified cluster sample data from 5,000 spectators at a national match to gather data on injury prevalence.
Hold on, let's clarify that term for a moment, because it really matters how the data is gathered. Stratified cluster sampling.
Sure.
That just means they divided the 5,000 spectators into distinct demographic groups, strata, and then randomly sampled within those groups to get a representative picture of how injuries impact different types of people in the sport, right?
Right, exactly. It gives us a highly accurate generalized picture of the injury landscape, and the scope of that problem is simply undeniable. To fix it, the experiments demonstrate that deep learning techniques increase both the accuracy of predicting the knee injury and understanding the preconditions for it.
Mm-hmm. To facilitate this, the modern football stadium is essentially being built as a smart city concept.
Meaning they are using WSN, or wireless sensor networks. Exactly. Just like a smart city uses an invisible network of sensors to optimize traffic flow and manage power grids in real time, the stadium uses thousands of data points from the players to optimize human physical performance. It's an incredible application of the Internet of Things.
It is technologically impressive, I won't deny that.
Right. So to not use this WSN infrastructure when the data proves it prevents tendinitis or knee surrounding bursitis is, well, it's willfully putting players in harm's way.
I don't dispute the severity of the 100 injuries among the Shandong province players. I really don't. But we have to address what the text refers to as the cognitive risk of knee damage.
You mean the discrepancy between what the trainer sees and what is actually happening?
Right. The research defines cognitive risk as the discrepancy between trainers' subjective assessments of the injury risk and the objective reality. Your solution to this cognitive risk is to entirely eliminate the subjective element and hand the reins over to data mining?
Not eliminate, enhance.
But analyzing and interpreting data requires an understanding of its human context. If we rely exclusively on invasive sensors in a smart city stadium to cure this cognitive risk, we lose the human context of sports science.
How are we losing context when we are literally gaining millions of contextual data points about the player's body?
Because data points aren't human context. The researchers talk about using swarm intelligence for this data analysis. Essentially, taking a cue from how a flock of birds moves in unison, the AI looks at how all these different physiological data points from the entire team interact at once.
Which is brilliant.
Expert human judgment. When swarm intelligence and continuous data tracking become the primary driver, the human element, that subtle, unquantifiable dialogue between a coach and a player, is sidelined.
But isn't that dialogue exactly what was failing those 100 injured players in Shandong province?
Not necessarily. A coach might know a player is dealing with a personal issue, or recovering from a mild illness, or just having a really bad week. The algorithm just sees a drop in acceleration and flags them as a liability. We are prioritizing a sterile, algorithmic truth over the messy, lived reality of the athlete.
But that messy, lived reality is exactly what leads to players getting physically broken.
The traditional coaching style, which the text explicitly critiques, relied heavily on the knowledge shared by the coach and the frequent self-check of the player's own body. It was educated guesswork.
It was human.
And that guesswork left massive gaps where players slipped through and ruined their knees forever.
Modern data-driven statistical methods have become vital precisely because they fill in those gaps.
They fill the gaps by treating the player as a constant data-generating resource for the sports organization. They fill the gaps by providing a supplementary method to correct playmaker errors in a timely manner. Look, the AI tracks the kinematics, helps build safer muscle memory, and keeps the player on the pitch longer. I fundamentally believe that the career preservation and the sheer reduction in human suffering offered by continuous AI biometric tracking are unequivocally positive.
Even with the privacy loss?
A temporary concession of data privacy while on the pitch is a very small price to pay for extending a young athlete's career and protecting their long-term mobility.
And I maintain that the price is far higher than you are admitting. Yes, modern statistical tools and machine learning can solve complex classification problems faster than a human brain, obviously. But when we apply those tools to human bodies indefinitely, we simply cannot ignore the ethical ramifications. This constant biometric monitoring crosses the line from performance enhancement into invasive surveillance.
Even if it literally saves their knees.
Even if it has health benefits, the responsibilities regarding private data access are profound. Think about it. Who owns this data after the player retires? Can it be used in contract negotiations to lower a player's salary because an algorithm predicted a future injury?
Well, that's a regulatory issue.
But it's a real issue. The potential for abuse, the psychological stress of the panopticon, and the erosion of bodily autonomy are real, tangible risks. We cannot simply wave them away because of a 7.2% increase in prediction accuracy. We have to find a way to balance the physical health of the athlete with the sanctity of their biometric privacy.
Well, it seems we have reached a fundamental philosophical impasse regarding the trade-off between physical safety and biometric privacy. However, looking at the data from the source material, I think we can both agree that the threat of knee injuries in football, from acute trauma to chronic conditions like quadriceps tendonitis, represents a severe, persistent danger that absolutely requires intervention.
Absolutely. We certainly converge on the fact that these injuries are devastating to athletes' livelihoods. And I fully acknowledge that modern, data-driven statistical methods provide granular insights that traditional, subjective guesswork simply cannot match.
Right?
The potential of these tools, from analyzing kinematics to preventing head injuries, is undeniably powerful.
The literature we've discussed today notes that as wireless sensor networks and AI techniques become more prevalent, not just in sports, but in fields like higher education, we face incredible opportunities alongside highly complex challenges. Integrating the positive aspects of these technologies requires the development of rigorous standards and adequate ethical guidance.
Precisely. The tension between maximizing human physical potential through technology and protecting human privacy from surveillance isn't going away anytime soon. As artificial intelligence continues to evolve as a frontline tool for sports science, navigating that ethical boundary will remain a rich and absolutely necessary area for further exploration.
And it's an exploration that asks us to reconsider the very nature of observation in sports.
We started by looking at a football match, witnessing the pinnacle of physical capacity. But as the stadium transforms into a smart network and the jerseys hide continuous streams of telemetry, we have to ask ourselves, at what point does measuring the game fundamentally change what it means to be the human playing it? We'll leave that for you to decide. Until next time.